Well, The Punisher is an awesome game for the Sega Genesis, and when someone reached out to me wanting a custom Sega Genesis Punisher themed controller, I was super excited to get into the build. So I'm going with the classic 3-button style controller. This way it gives me a lot of retail space to do customization on. With the 6-button, everything's kind of compact and you don't have as much room to play with. So I ended up taking the controller apart, and what I like to do is get a Ziploc bag and put all the screws, the rubber membranes, and the cord, circuit board, and all that into there so I don't lose it. And anything that I'm modifying, I just leave out. And I just gave the controller a quick wipe down. I'm using some glass cleaner and a microfiber towel, but we're just going to scuff it up anyways after this with a little bit of sandpaper. There is a high gloss part around the Sega controller, and I kind of wanted to leave that a little bit intact, so I'm using some masking tape to kind of protect that area. Now I'm using a little bit of sandpaper to rough up the controller. Of course, this is the Punisher, and it needs a little bit of grit on it. Wornness, you know, it's been beat up, and we're going to be adding some more details later on, but starting off with the sandpaper. Then I went in with an X-Acto knife just to get some little chunks out of it and more scratches that are more defined than the sandpaper. And after a quick inspection, it was where I liked it, but now I wanted to add something to it. Bullet holes. Now when you see the Punisher and play the game on Sega Genesis, of course he has his gun and you're shooting up the bad guys. So I wanted to add some bullet holes that maybe went through the controller. So we're going to get a drill and drill some holes in the controller. Okay, now I definitely filmed a top-down view of me building this, but I guess I forgot to dump the footage before I formatted the SD card. So the suspense, you'll just have to wait to see how it turns out to the end. Now I ended up printing out some water slide decals. This is on a white backing, so this way it pops on the black controller itself. You just have to use your X-Acto blade and cut exactly where you want on the sticker, because what you don't cut out you're still going to see. So I have the Punisher logo, the skull right there, and then I also printed out the word Punisher, which I'll be putting on the back of the controller as well. Now the way these work, you actually have to seal the sticker with some clear coat spray paint. You put a couple coats on there. When it dries, you drop it in water for a little bit, and then it slides off the backing and you can place it on the controller itself. Now, once I had those placed, I got out my Epoxy Sculpt. This is a 2-part clay. When you mix it half and half together, it ends up hardening in 24 hours. I want to dress up the bullet holes that I drilled in with the drill bit, kind of have that blowout from when the bullet, you know, went through the controller and exited out or whatever. Just give it some more character. And then once 24 hours passed everything and hardened, it's now on to the weathering. You got to make this controller look all beat up. Now when we did the sandpaper and the scratches with the razor blade, we're going to be going back with some lighter colors now. When you're brushing it, dry brushing the colors, I'm using acrylic paint. It really brings out all the scratches, and this just shows all the detail now in the controller. So again, I'm using a dry brush technique. I dip the brush in some silver paint. I'm using like a metallic paint. Then you kind of wipe it off in a rag and gently brush over the controller, and it kind of highlights certain areas. I did go back with some blacks and browns to kind of dirty it up to add that dirt to it. And there we go. Here's a first look at what the controllers are looking like. Pretty good. Those bullet holes, I had a little bit of silver on there. Maybe it rubbed off from the bullet going through. And now that everything is set on there, I'm going to seal everything in with some spray paint. I use Rust-Oleum Crystal Clear, and I gave it about 3 coats, 10 minutes in between each coat, and then let it cure for about a day or 2. And once it's all cured, it's just put it back together and assemble it, and we're good to go. So let's check out the final reveal. So here's the finished product, guys. I think it came out awesome for a Punisher theme. Added the couple bullet holes, because Punisher's always shooting up stuff, and the weathering, scratches and all that. You want it worn looking. The back of it looks good. Got a good Punisher logo right there, of course, with the skull and a couple other bullet holes. And then I did carve in my initials, RL, so people know who made it. But yeah, I'm going to be sending this out to the person that ordered it, and hopefully he'll be just as excited seeing the process, how I put it together. And yeah, it just shows what you could do with a little bit of clay and some imagination. Be creative. Don't be afraid, to fail. Try some things out. I just looked up bullet holes, and, hey, if we drill a hole in the actual controller and then maybe put some clay, it can look like an actual bullet hole. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed the build of this video, how it came together. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button if you guys like DIY projects like this. I have a whole bunch of videos on the channel and a playlist if you're curious of other stuff that I created. Punisher is certainly an awesome character. If you guys have a favorite Marvel character, let me know in the comments down below. I'm curious to find out. I definitely enjoy me some Spider-Man as my favorite Marvel character. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching the video. As always, I'm RussLyman, and keep your world fun bit by bit. I'll see you next video. And I want to give a super shout out to all my Patreon supporters: Dan Buchanan, Joe Yellis, George Sandoval, Joseph Riviera, Nintendo, Joe Sheevy, Kelly Moore, David Apuzzo, Maynard, TechWizX, Matthew Hannigan, Alex Kaz, Aonoshi, Canonman, and all my Patreon supporters. Link below if you want to join, and I'll see you later.